Look at improving the player a little bit. So when we press the arrow keys, we're going to get the player to sort of turn and face the direction of the left and right. Now you can do this for the up and down as well, but I'm only going to do it for the left and the right for this one. And there's a few different ways we can do this. So as an example, one way is to open our player. And what we can do is we could duplicate this and call it S player right and S player left. And what you can then do is flip this around to be the other way. Now, I'm not actually going to do that. That is a method to do it. But what I'm going to do is use a little bit of code just to move the player around a little bit. And it's fairly straightforward. So the code is going to sit between the right and the left. And again, there's a number of different ways that you can do this. In some of my other tutorials, I've done it in a slightly different way. So if I click on the right key down, and in the code blocks here, what I'm looking for is something called instance scale. And what that means is it basically, what does the instance scale, what's it set to? So 1 is obviously normal, standard, and then we can either do -1 to go the other way, or put it back to 1 to be obviously whatever way it's set to originally. So you can see under the right there, I've set that at instance scale horizontal 1, vertical 1. If we go to the left, drag this in, and for this one we do -1. This time now when we play our game, what you'll notice is we can move left and right, but there is one little issue with this, okay? And you'll notice it's jumping a little bit. Hopefully the screen recorder is picking that up now at the moment, but it's jumping. And the reason for that is because of something called the origin. Now, in our sprite, the origin is set by default to the top left, so we haven't actually changed this. So think of that like a pivot point. So when it changes around, it's basically pivoting around this point. Well, really what we want to do is pivot it around the center. So what we can do is we can use this menu on the top here and just check middle center, or you can drag this anchor point and just drag it to the center there. Now there is one downside of moving this center point here, and it's that it does alter the player within the room. So you can see now my player has moved up. So all you need to do is select the player layer and just move it down. You may need to do this on the other rooms as well, just in case it moves it into a location that you're not happy with. Okay, so let's just go here and press play. And what you'll find now is when we move the sprite using the arrow keys, move the object using the arrow keys, it's a much smoother transition between the two. Okay. Now, there's one other thing that we are going to look at doing after this, and obviously we've got our score counter working, we've got our enemies. If I just go and get hit by one of the enemies, you can see it returning to the start there, which is fine, and then that allows me to move. There's a few other things that we can do, but one other thing that we are going to look at is looking at a lives system as well as the score system. So that will come in the next video. So what we'll look at doing is adding some form of live systems that when we get hit, we will lose a life.